My boss joked about my daddy issues for months. He just met my father at the board meeting. Looks like someone's daddy issues are showing again, Brian announced at 3:42 p.m. during the quarterly review, getting his usual laughs from the executive team as I presented the marketing projections. Did daddy not hug you enough, or was it too much? That's why you're such a perfectionist, right, Sophia? I kept my expression neutral while he performed his routine psychological analysis for the boardroom's entertainment, the same tired jokes he'd been making since I joined Preston Industries 8 months ago. He'd even bought me a coffee mug that said, Daddy's little disappointment for Secret Santa, which HR had laughed off as harmless fun. What Brian didn't know was that my father owned 73% of Preston Industries through various shell companies, and today's board meeting would be his first in-person appearance since orchestrating the hostile takeover. I'd taken the marketing director position specifically to evaluate the company from the inside, reporting directly to my father about which executives deserved to stay when the restructuring began. Brian topped the termination list, not for his jokes, but for his systematic undermining of female employees and the 3 settled harassment lawsuits I'd uncovered. Sophia probably color codes her daddy issues, Brian continued, pointing at my presentation slides. Look at that organization. Classic overcompensation for paternal abandonment. The CFO chuckled uncomfortably while I clicked through revenue projections that would determine their futures. My father had built his empire by staying invisible, letting incompetent men like Brian think they ran things while he pulled strings from behind holding companies. The boardroom door opened at exactly 4 p.m. My father entered with 2 lawyers, his presence immediately shifting the room's energy. Brian was mid-sentence about my desperate need for male approval when he noticed the sudden silence. Gentlemen, my father said, taking the chairman's seat, and Sophia, his nod to me was barely perceptible, maintaining our agreed-upon distance. Brian's face cycled through confusion to recognition to naked fear as my father introduced himself as Richard Winters, majority shareholder, the same Richard Winters whose name appeared on hostile takeover documents. Brian's mouth opened and closed soundlessly as he connected the dots between my last name and the man now controlling his fate. I've been reviewing the company culture through various channels, my father continued, his eyes fixed on Brian. The recordings from the past 8 months make for interesting listening, particularly your creative theories about my daughter's psychological profile. He slid a tablet across the table showing transcripts of every inappropriate comment, every daddy issues joke, every moment Brian had used his position to humiliate me for entertainment. I believe you bought her a coffee mug, creative management style. Brian's face had gone the color of spoiled milk. Mr. Winters, I had no idea it was just office banter. Just office banter, my father repeated slowly. Like the 3 harassment settlements you've cost this company, or the 2 female VPs who left under your leadership. He pulled out a folder containing Brian's entire employment history, every complaint carefully documented. You know what I find fascinating? Men who joke about daddy issues usually have their own parental complications. Tell me, Brian, how's your relationship with your mother? Still borrowing money from her at 52? The room temperature seemed to drop as my father dissected Brian with the same casual cruelty Brian had shown me, but with actual facts instead of speculation. Brian tried to salvage something. Sophia never complained. She knew it was just joking around. We have a great working relationship. I finally spoke, my voice steady. I documented everything, Brian. Every comment, every joke, every time you undermined my presentations with your little psychological insights. I was building a case, not a friendship. His supporters around the table suddenly found the wood grain fascinating. The CFO, who'd laughed loudest at the daddy issues jokes, now looked like he might vomit. The legal team was already calculating severance packages in their heads. Sophia will be taking over as interim CEO effective immediately, my father announced. Brian, security is waiting outside to escort you out. Your personal items will be shipped. The termination paperwork cites pattern harassment and creation of a hostile work environment. Brian stood on shaky legs. His usual swagger completely evaporated. As he reached the door, he turned back. This is about the jokes. You're destroying my career over jokes? My father's smile was arctic. No, Brian, we're destroying your career over documented harassment. The jokes were just evidence of your stupidity. The next morning, I found the daddy's little disappointment mug on my new desk with a note from facilities asking if I wanted it destroyed. I kept it as a reminder, filling it with pens. The remaining executives approached me with newfound respect and barely concealed fear. Those who'd laughed along with Brian updated their resumes. Those who'd stayed silent hoped their silence would save them. It wouldn't. My father had given me complete authority over restructuring, and I had 8 months of data about who enabled the toxic culture and who quietly resisted it. Brian's departure triggered an avalanche. 3 more executives resigned rather than face termination. The boys' club that had run Preston Industries crumbled within weeks. During my first all hands as CEO, I addressed the elephant in the room directly. Yes, Richard Winters is my father. Yes, I was placed here to evaluate the company. No, I didn't get this job because of nepotism. I got it because the previous CEO thought harassment was hilarious. I explained the new zero tolerance policy and the culture changes coming. Anyone who thinks making jokes about someone's family, appearance, or personal life belongs in leadership should update their LinkedIn profiles now. The transformation was swift. Preston Industries went from a toxic boys' club to a company where competent people thrive regardless of gender. Brian, last I heard, was consulting for a startup that folded within 6 months. He probably blamed it on someone's daddy issues.